Welcome to the Act Out Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Tomlin. Today's guest is a brain retraining specialist, Arnold Beeks. Let's roll the tape. Arnold, how are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. As soon as I saw a little bit of your biography, I was like, man, I've got to talk to this guy.
Thank you very much.
Can you tell our audience what you do now, currently?
What I'm doing now is let me put my intention. My intention is to enable people to become better for all leaders. The emphasis is on better for all.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you basically need to upgrade your brain.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that sounds great, but I bet you there's a catch. Like, how does one upgrade their brain?
Well, you need a little bit of help. It's that is what I'm providing. I'm a coach / trainer for more than 50 years now. And I am myself the biggest guinea pig. So everything I'm teaching, sharing, coaching with people, I try it on myself always. And if it doesn't work, I don't include it in my training. So, and this goes on every day. I'm now starting for new practices. I'm always testing, trying, because I still need to grow. I want to grow. There's some stuff I want to get rid of. So it's like, hey, I want to change this. I want to change this. What can I do about that? What am I gonna do about that? Yeah. So, it's an ongoing process, but most people don't have the time and energy and effort to do that just by themselves, which is quite challenging, obviously, but I love doing it.
Arnold, now you were saying that you've been a guinea pig yourself on all of these methods, which I really appreciate, because I'm one of those people where I feel like you can't really know something until you have fully experienced it and, like, really immersed yourself into it. Can you kind of go a little bit into your journey? So whenever before you became a guinea pig, what was your I guess what was your childhood like? I think your dad was in the military. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And at home, he was no different than at work, maybe even a little bit worse, because at home he was the highest in rank. And I'm laughing, but it was very challenging. It was very challenging. So basically everything, and I mean literally everything you did at home, he had how you should do it, why you should do it, how long it should do, what the goal was, and always criticizing when it was not good enough. And that had a huge impact on myself, but also on my siblings, also on my mother.
Oh,
so we were, and we can later hopefully get back to it. I was totally driven by fear. Yeah, it's like, oh, I hope he doesn't get angry. He was totally not physical, I must say that. So he didn't hit you or whatever. But if he was angry, well, I guess it was it was worse than if he just slapped you in the face. It's like,
yes.
So it was really not nice, because you're like, oh yeah, or what's his mood today, or shall I tell him this, or oh, he will be angry. Is it like that is really how I grew up in the world. So, and on top of that, which I didn't know at all when I grew up, but I'm pretty sure that my mother already very soon got some kind of mental health problems for which she got medicated. But we were not told that. I don't even know whether my father knew, or even my mother knew, because it must be related to depression or something like that. But she was numbed out.
Mhm.
So that's what I know now, and only quite recently, because again, nobody told us. But the only thing we knew is that she was in the evening always. She was eating pills like popcorn. Yeah, so it's like, and so there was something. But for instance, what now is become known, that SSRIs, which people are using for especially depression related and anxiety related stuff, it numbs your emotional life totally down.
So it seems like whenever you were growing up, you learned that your safety depended on how everyone else around you was, like what their mood was.
Exactly. So it like, if I get good grades at school, he would not be angry. So then I would be safe. But if the grade was, well, where everybody else's parents would be happy, my father would not be happy. So it like, I need to get very, very high grades. Then he was like, "Oh, that's okay." So
Mhm.
it's really, really, yeah. Safety is the right word, and fear is really the driver behind it. Is like, yeah, you were always scanning and looking at like, what can I say? How should I say it? What should I
Mhm.
tell him or not? Yeah, so absolutely.
Yeah, I think that whenever you're, kind of in that environment and you kind of learn that that you have to make sure that everybody else around you is okay, you kind of learn to conform and just to fit in.
Totally, totally. So that is where, well, where I'm now teaching people to move from fitting into what I call flying out, fitting in into school system, into, well, university, into work environment, being an employee was really, really easy for me.
Mhm. I kind of want to get into that. You have to learn how to put on a mask whenever you are whenever you are kind of going around and making sure that everyone else is okay. So I guess growing up for you, did you really kind of have a sense of identity?
A sense about?
A sense of identity, like did you like I know who I am, or did you kind of feel
No,
like
not at all. But well, there's nobody I knew who had, because your identity is derived from the person in charge. Yeah,
mm,
so I call fitting in living someone else's life. You're not
mm,
living your own
mhm,
life. What do I mean by that? I mean is that if I did what my father told me to do and I did it according to his requirements, I would be okay. Yeah. So there was no way that I could say, "Oh, but hey, Dad, could we do it in this way, or should I do it this, or whatever?" No
uh-uh,
way. It was only to be done in his way. Yeah, so
mm.
that means there was never thinking about, "Hey, Arnold, what do you think?" or "Arnold, what do you like?" Never, never, ever. I get that question. In that case, I'm not an exception, because till this very day, I would say most people don't know it. I was at the beginning of my 40s, Adam, when my first coach asked me, because, well, a lot of things happened, and I was like, oh, I was telling him, I don't want a boss anymore. I don't want this anymore. I don't want this. And I was ranting, and he was like, Arnold, hold on. Can you please tell me, what do you want?
Mm.
And then I was like, I totally blanked out, because this was and I'm not kidding. This was the
Mhm.
first time in my life that someone had asked me that question. I was the beginning of my 40s. And I still vividly remember where I was sitting, where he was standing. And normally I'm totally not lost for words. But then I was like, "Huh? What?"
Yeah, I was the exact same way. How long did it take you to kind of to figure out what you want, or is that something that you are still working on to this day?
Yeah, I would say it's an ongoing process, but I cannot get a number to it. But last year, yes, I'm pretty confident, and I think, but it's like, I'm constantly growing. So the person speaking to you today, I'm not the same as a year ago, and I'm totally different than 10 years ago, and much, much longer, etc. Whereas, well, there's still some characteristics which have been with me for most of my life, but it's like peeling an onion, and then you get rid of one layer, and then you see, oh, there's still some other layers. Ooh, yeah, and then
Mhm.
something happens in your life, and then things which would normally work out fine are not. Well, what do I mean by that? I had 4 years ago a very, very severe car crash. I was 9 weeks in the hospital, to give you an idea,
Oh, wow.
and that to this very day, well, has still an impact. And well, I hope, but maybe it's more hope than knowing that some things will go away, but I doubt it. So it's like there are some permanent, well, dysfunctional things
Mhm.
and things which are impacting me to this very day. Whereas before that, I was physically very fit and doing all kinds of sports and everything. So my physical thing was never a limitation. Now it is. Yeah, I have a heel which is destroyed, among other things, and
Mhm.
I have had a traumatic brain injury, which means my nervous system is constantly in fight or flight, which is the most irritating. My foot, I'm
Yeah.
kind of used to. I'm glad that I can walk a little bit, but always my brain in this fight or flight state. I haven't found yet. I get it reduced, but it's not gone.
Mhm.
And I'm doing all these practices to address that part, but that's something which happened 4 years ago. Before that, I would not have even talked about it because I was totally very fit. I did sports at a high level, so it like things in your life are never static. Yeah, so it's
Mhm.
not like, oh, Arnold, you're growing in these years and whatever. No, and then all of a sudden something completely different happens, and then you're like, oh, I need to change my focus. Yeah.
Now, is there like is there a prognosis for you? Like, will you be able to kinda get out of this chronic, fight or flight state with, like, more,
Well,
practice or
I tell you, I live most of my life in the Netherlands. I have a Dutch passport, and I was in the Netherlands with that accident. I was telling about these things and whatever, and then they said, "Oh, you got PTSD," and then there were, and I got tremors and I got other stuff. Oh, it will go away. It's nothing. But I think the problem was I can still, under any circumstance, fortunately, well, even fortunately with my TBI, I can express myself very clearly. So they think, oh, there's nothing wrong with that guy. Yeah? But
Mm.
I said, no, it's not. I'm not okay. But they didn't believe me, whatever. And then PTSD, I got a couple of sessions with a therapist. And, well, that didn't help at all. And what always happening with, well, this was my first and only therapist, but I've been had many, many coaches. But what happens after a few sessions, I start coaching them and not the other way around. So,
Mhm.
but it was only, and then I moved 2 years ago from the Netherlands to Romania, and I found here a brain clinic, something as far as I know didn't exist in the Netherlands. In the brain clinic, they found out I got a TBI, which was 2 years late or 3 years later than my accident. But
Mm.
in the Netherlands, nobody thought, no, there's nothing wrong with you. And then they said, no, we can clearly see you had a TBI. And the
Mhm.
TBI is causing my nervous system, and it's impacting my tremors and impacting my sleep. And then I was like, see, those buggers, let me put it nicely, in the, in the Netherlands, is like, they are so lousy at their job because I was telling them like, no, there's something really wrong because I was not like this. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it didn't go away even after a few years. So I was, well, between quotes, quite kind of happy that they, yeah, that they found out that the TBI, and that's the cause of a lot of these things. But that doesn't mean that you know the cause, but it doesn't mean that you know how to address it.
Right. I can imagine that it would feel good on the one hand to have an answer. Like there isn't. I am not messed up. There is just something wrong with what happened to me. But then on the other hand, you're like, well, I have this information, but how? Like it doesn't really give me a path forward how to deal with it per se.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm constantly trying new practices, new exercises, and I'm doing them literally now twice a day, a set of exercises, and yeah, it's like I will continue doing this because I don't like this state,
Hmm.
and like I got to deal with it, yeah,
Hmm.
and I can play the victim. I don't like that, but like no, I got to fix this. But the good thing is that there's now this AI thing which has got a positive sides and negative sides, but it
Hmm.
helps you with the search and things what to do, whatever. So that's what I'm using. So it's like I hope I can find something, and I'm pretty sure, but it's already better than it was.
Uh,
So, but it's like small steps. But it's like that's why I say there's always challenges and always challenges to deal with, and but yeah, through those challenges you grow.
hmm. So you were saying that like this brain injury, it kind of puts you in a, like a perpetual state of fight or flight, and it's also kind of like impacted like executive functioning as well, like kind of like daily tasks.
No, it's
Oh.
but it's like if something, well, especially which is out of my control and you're dependent on other people,
Hmm.
that has biggest impact. For instance, talking with you, I have zero problem with it. I'm
Hmm.
totally confident and I love doing this, so I'm not nervous at all. It's really fine.
Hmm.
But when I'm depending on other people and I'm planning things, I'm like, oh, that might go wrong. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Or like, well, a simple thing is like, well, I'm flying. I will move to Paraguay in a few weeks, and but then I have to fly from here to Spain and from Spain to Paraguay, and then I'm like, oh, I hope I don't lose my luggage. Yeah,
Hmm.
and because my luggage is the only stuff I have. I have no more stuff at all. So it's like, well, it would be nice if that would still be there. And it's also like, oh, I need to transfer to another terminal, but I cannot walk very fast, especially not with a heavy suitcase. So I'm like, then I get nervous. Yeah. So it like, and previously I didn't have that. I'm like, well, I can do
Right.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Yeah. But now I'm like, I gotta fight my own mind. Is like,
Mm.
"Oh, don't make such a big fuss about it." Yeah, so it's like I'm constantly balancing between beating myself up and being kind to myself. In like, well, Arnold, you can do this. It's no problem. There's enough time. You'll fix it. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I struggle with the most is my internal voice and trying
Yep.
to be more encouraging with myself versus like, oh, Adam, you're doing terribly, or something like that. Welcome back after some technical delays. We've got a super professional operation here. The last that I had heard from you, you're kind of having a little bit of trouble trying to kind of having a battle between speaking kindly to yourself versus versus being like, oh, Arnold, oh, you're bad, you're bad. That is something that I very deeply relate with. That was, I think, the internal voice was something that I did not even realize that we had any power of changing. Until I actually went through therapy. Can you kind of was that similar to you? Did you kind of have a similar progression as well?
Absolutely. Actually, it's part of my training. I added it quite recently. Is like your inner voice. Yeah. And you even have inner voices, plural. It's not
Mhm.
just one. Yeah. There are a couple of theories around it that you get at least four, maybe five different voices inside of you. But what I noticed, and that is quite common, which people understand, that is what they call the inner critic.
Mm.
And the inner critic, well, I guess in your case and in my case, certainly, it's like you you develop it as a kind of protection against, in my case, my father is like, oh, he will be angry. He'll be do. I better should do this, or this is not good, Arnold. I should do this. It was like preparing me for his anger and hopefully doing things in a way that would
Mhm.
be okay. Yeah. So, but since, well, I've been working on this for, well, I guess a few years now. It's like I talk to many people, and everybody recognizes it, and it is like so. It's not probably in your and my case. It's a little bit stronger inner critic than with most people, but everybody recognizes that they have this inner critic,
Uh-huh.
and it's not helpful. It's not helpful at all. Yeah, so that's why I said you need to move your inner critic to an inner cheerleader.
Mhm. Yeah, that's actually what I was about to say. You were, you think that that inner critic, uh, it seems like it's something that's like hates you and wants the worst for you, but actually it's trying to protect you. It
Absolutely.
it just doesn't have the tools to be able to help you well. So it's doing the only thing it knows how to do. It just is, kind of harmful for you.
Yeah, it's like, well, don't go there, don't do this, or this is wrong, or this should be done better, or whatever. It's like it doesn't try to hurt you; it tries to protect you, which is in itself a huge insight. Eh?
Uh-huh.
But in the end, by doing that, in some cases, it's okay. Yeah, if your inner critic says, don't deal with that person because it cannot be trusted or whatever. Yeah, but it's like that might be something you should listen to. But
Mm.
yeah, in other cases, it's not putting you in a good mood. So, but that's not only there are a couple of other inner voices. So the change which you have to make is like trying to understand what are these voices and
Mhm.
listen to them. And one of the voices, and I've been working, let's say 2 years every day to listen to my heart.
Mm.
People know, well, I'm labeling myself the brain upgrade trainer. So, well, I know a little bit how the brain works and how it is. I've been working on that for the past 25 years. So, but people think we have one brain and then they point to their head and say, this is my
Mhm.
brain. Yes, it's your brain. Okay. But you have actually three brains, Adam.
Okay.
You're laughing.
What are what, yeah, I was about to say, well, what are the three brains?
Your head, your heart, and your gut.
Ah, head, heart, and gut.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not just my insight, that's scientifically proven. Hmm?
Mm.
But as we grow up, our upbringing and schooling, the education system, the media, everything tries you to think, no, you only have one brain, it's in your head, and that's where everything happens and whatever. But that means you get still two other brains, but you're ignoring them. You're not consciously ignoring them because if you don't know you have that. Yeah, you have the same response when I tell it to most people. Everybody's like, what? Free? Yeah, so what I started doing that, and then there's a very good book. It's called The Heart Math Solution, which is, I think, written at the end of the 90s. So
Mhm.
this is not new knowledge. This is
Yeah.
something that has been like everything which is really good for you, it's suppressed and ignored. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And people prevent you from getting that because they don't want you to work with your heart. Yeah?
Mm.
I'm doing every day, literally every day. I wanted like, well, what is that heart brain? Because first you cognitively understand, okay, I got three brains. Okay, fine. Yeah, but how am I going to use that?
Mm.
And how can I listen to it?
Uh-huh.
What can I do with it? What's the different roles?
Mhm. Uh,
And that comes out with a difficult word, which is called coherence. Means you gotta create a balance between what your head is good at, what your heart brain is good at, and what your gut brain is good at. And so that is, I would say, your heart brain is the most important voice.
mm.
you and I and most people, well, if you don't know that that voice is there, you're not going to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
so you don't know if it's there. Then it's not like, oh, let's listen to my heart. What? Eh? So it's like by learning that, and I said I'm doing these practices for more than 2 years now. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that voice was there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what that role was. I didn't know what the inside is like. What they say, your heart brain knows, your
Mm-hmm.
head brain thinks, and your gut brain feels.
Mm.
And if you, from becoming cognitively aware to a felt experience, that takes a lot of practice. That's a lot of steps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I still keep on doing these practice because it's bringing me a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that is one, maybe the most important inner voice where you should listen to is the voice of your heart. And it is there, but our thoughts are so loud and so much in
Mm-hmm.
volume, yeah, in volume, in quantity, and in quality, that your heart brain was there or was always there, but it was totally overwhelmed by the noise of your head.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. So I practice internal family systems therapy. So like the brain, you don't just have like one brain. It's your parts. That's kind of how I see it. So what you're saying, it made a lot of sense to me. I was smiling because it was just it's basically a different language of saying the same thing. It's so fascinating to me. Um, but yeah, so I haven't been doing it the past couple of mornings, but what I will try to do is like whenever I first wake up in the morning, I'll have a cup of coffee. I'll sit down in my, like sit down in a, like kind of a dark room, cross my legs and take a sip. And I like just try to feel like, just try to be completely with my body, kind of do a scan and a check. Like, is there anything, I'll literally say like, is there anything you want to say? And if I feel like some tightness in my shoulders, or I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And it just, to be like, after, like, well, I'm feeling nervous because I have a couple of conversations today and I want to do really well. And like after having that little moment, I can feel, my shoulders are less tense, and I feel much better starting the day. But to do like it would there is no way I would have been able to do that prior to practicing therapy.
No, that's what that is. What I think is very sad is that there are so many very good things for your brain and your body and your well-being. Some of these things are thousands of years old, but
Hmm.
they're not taught at school. They're not taught in the medical establishment. They're not taught in well, any therapy or whatever. It's like there are things which practices which people have been going on for years, but they don't want you to use them because they basically made prisoners out of us, out of this prison planet, and it's like they want you to be unhealthy and unhappy because that gives them energy. So they're not going to share these things. I'm very convinced that I know about these things because up till this very day, even up this very second, there are people who make huge inventions that can cure cancer or heart disease or make you deal with fear or whatever, and they're really good thing. But it's like these people are, well, in the worst case, they're being killed. Yeah, so it's
Mm.
like that is what is happening. That's why, yeah, when I just explained to you that we have three brains, I'm like, why don't you tell me at school?
Yeah.
My life would have been totally different, I tell you.
Hmm. Well, I asked that, and this is just one of those kind of hypotheticals. Do you think it would have been different, or like once you got home, the dynamics of your home were such that I don't know if you would have been able to apply that lesson.
Well, probably secretly in my room, but the yeah, but the I wish I wish my father would have known.
Yeah.
I wish my mother would have known.
Hmm.
Because they also didn't know. It's not that they
Right.
were very unkind people. No, they were struggling in their own lives as well, but
Hmm.
they had zero idea about that. Yeah? But
Right.
that's the same like me because nobody told them. So
Hmm.
I expect that they react like that. And no, they didn't know.
Exactly. You can't teach something that you've never been taught yourself.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
how did I just out of my own curiosity, how were you able to kind of like reconcile your relationship with your dad? Kind of, like yeah, there was a lot of pain that you went through, and at the same time, he also didn't know any better. Kind of like, did you have a tough time with those two kind of conflicting thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. But it's like, especially when you're a child, you're not in a position to change your parent, yeah, or
Hmm.
it's like, hey, Dad, why don't you go to this training? I think it's good for you. So it's like that. Well, I wouldn't be able to do that. It's like it doesn't work like this. So you just gotta accept, and what I accept is that, and I'm totally convinced that my father had the best of intentions.
Hmm.
He wanted the best for us and for himself because he wanted high status, and the status would also mean that his children would be performing well. So, but still, he was well, he was a bit narcissistic, but it was not that he didn't want the best for us, yeah, and he
Hmm.
did the best. Yeah, so, mm, and well, but for me, one of the main things in my life is when I got out of the house and I started moving to the city in which I went to university, and I was like, wow, yeah, just yeah, I got my own room in another city, and only well, mostly twice a week I went home again to do my laundry and talk with him and then move again back and but for me it was like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah. What was so? Whenever I had that first taste of freedom, I I was kind of like you. I was like, oh my god, it's like a brand new world, and I definitely ran in the exact opposite direction, doing things that I had no business doing. It took me a long time to grow up.
Yeah, well, it's like, well, when you go studying the system in the Netherlands is a bit different than the US, but it like my father still paid for everything. Yeah, so it was like I still had to make sure I get good grades and everything else. Yeah,
Hmm.
I was working part time, almost 20 hours a week as a hockey trainer. So it's I still applied all these things, but not having every day that pressure on you was so nice.
You said that your dad was kind of status driven. Were you status driven whenever you kind of like first came
No,
into your own as a?
no, not at all. What? Because I saw the things. Well, basically about my father that I would develop the opposite. So it's like he was, and I was seeing like even though and he wanted to become a general in the army and he didn't and he was frustrated about that and then he moved which is totally admirable because in his spare time he studied law at the university and then he became a judge and
Hmm.
but and then he was like well at some point in time he got a position well even it became the Department of Justice. He got a position where he was at the same level as a general. And he was like,
Hmm.
see, I'm at the same level of a general now. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, but are you happy? Are you healthy? Are you enjoying yourself? Well, totally not. My father died at 68 of cancer. So it like, it, I saw that this driven by always like going for that status. Well, it killed him. Well,
Hmm.
not the only reason, but a couple of other things. But it's like I'm pretty sure it killed him. So I'm like, I don't I don't give a shit about status because I've seen it every day in my life. It's like this is not the way to go. Just
Mhm.
like that's why I have had many leadership positions, senior leadership positions in the corporate world, but I had a coaching style. And coaching is the opposite of an authoritarian style. It's the
Mm.
complete opposite.
Okay. Can you
So
speak a little bit on that? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, please,
my
please speak a little bit
father
on
in the
that.
military and your father and everything else is like it's command and control. Yeah. It's like I tell you what to
Mhm.
do and then I will check whether you did it. And if you didn't do exactly like I told you, you got a problem. That is
Mhm.
not only in the military and the fireware and the police, and that's how most corporations are still run to this very day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does coaching do?
If you, well, most people pretend to be fine with it, but they are not. But it's like if you do exactly what they tell you to do and you meet the thing, you are okay. Yeah. And I'm intentionally using the word okay. It's not like you're super or you're fantastic, whatever. My father never in his life gave me a compliment. Never.
Mm.
So that's the command and control and authority is like, yeah, I'm always right. And if I'm not right, see rule one. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's how it is. And again, it's like, that's how still many managers and leaders in big companies are. And I decided
Mm.
is like, I don't like that because hey, I got my own ideas. I got my own suggestions. There's more than I can do. Hey, by the way, you tell me to do it like this, but I think if we do it like this, it would be much better. But you're afraid to say it, and they're not interested even. Yeah, so it's like, so that's why I developed this coaching style. When I very soon get management responsibility, so people reporting into me, it's like I get this coaching style. It's like, hey, what are your ideas? What are you good at? What do you love to do? So
Mhm.
that came very natural to me. So that ended up then when in beginning of my 30s, I managed 6,000 people. Yeah, so it's like this total different approach. Yeah, and it was my coaching style which brought me the success.
Mm. It's very funny that your coaching style direct opposite of the dad model. You were right.
Yeah, it's like well, I think essentially there are two main roads. Is one you become exactly the same or worse than your father,
Mm.
or you do like me, you become kind of the opposite.
What do you think the difference is? How why do some people do worse and some people do better?
I think most people will become the same. Yeah, well, you have your internal family system, but it is like intergenerational thing. You repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again, and even like, well, there are many cases of people who were physically abused, beaten up and everything like that.
Mhm.
And then what they end up is when they get children of themselves, they do the same. It's really, yeah, it like you just copy the program because that's the only program you know. So you cannot even blame the people because that's what they saw as an example day in, day out. To
Mm.
deviate from that, it takes hard work. It takes effort. It takes you're being lonely because nobody will support you. It's like it's like it's literally following your own path and carving out your own path. That is challenging, and most people prefer not to put in that time and effort, and they're like, "Well, I'll just do what I'm used to doing." Hmm?
Mhm.
Let me give a more positive experience than being beaten up. Eh, I'm now moving to my fourth country in which I'm living. I'm 67.
Mhm.
Most people
Just
think I'm totally crazy. It's like Arnold, why are you doing it? Why are you moving to another country? Why are you doing all of this stuff? Whatever. But it's like this is one of the most liberating experiences I had in my life. So it's like, but it is not easy. But it's like you got to do that. But most people prefer to stay in their own world, in what they know and the language they speak and the food they eat and everything. Like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But I'm like, I'm constantly challenging myself. I'm curious. I want to live in other cultures, in other countries, and have that experience.
Mhm.
But the majority of people think you like, I would never do that.
Yeah. So if people want to, if people want to utilize you as a coach, how can they find you?
Well, there are a couple of ways. Obviously, they can find me on LinkedIn, Arnold Beeks. But I got two ways. I got a website called brainathletes.club. So brain and then athletes is plural. It's one word, brainathletes.club, where I explain about my philosophy and what I'm doing. And we just recently opened a community on school.com. School is with SKOOL dot com
Okay.
/ brain dash fitness dash 7070. So 7070. So school.com / brain dash fitness dash 7070. It's a free community. I have there a lot of my interviews. I have books I've written. And we have a couple of master classes about dealing with your emotions, dealing with your finding out what your uniqueness is, dealing with aging. So all of these master, they're free. You can sign up to become a member of that free class. And of course, if you still enjoy it, you can sign up for my trainings and everything else. But the basis is free on the school.com.
Okay. Arnold, this has been absolutely fascinating, man. Thank you so much for acting out with me.
Well, I'd love to be here, and I love your approach. So thank you very much.